Good afternoon. Welcome to our Facebook Live broadcast from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's Office of Law Enforcement in Portland, Oregon. Today, we're joined by Sheila O'Connor, the resident agent in charge for Oregon. So, Sheila, what are the primary responsibilities of the service's Office of Law Enforcement?
Well, we investigate federal wildlife law violations, anything from poaching to wildlife smuggling, trafficking, endangered species, migratory birds, marine mammals, everything.
So we hear that wildlife trafficking is a growing issue in the United States and abroad. What is wildlife trafficking? And furthermore, what are these things on the table here in front of us?
Well, all these are things that we've seized during our law enforcement investigations, either here in Oregon or elsewhere in the country. So basically, wildlife trafficking is the illegal buying, selling, importing, exporting, killing of wildlife that's protected at one level or another. It's endangered species. It's also, you can traffic in migratory birds. You can traffic in domestic wildlife. So there's a variety. You can traffic in plants too, by the way, insects. So we protect everything. We try, at any rate, to protect everything. And so some of the things that are on the table here, this sculpture is made from black coral. Coral is protected by international treaty, and so some coral trafficking is legal. Some importing and exporting of coral is legal. It just so happens that black coral, it's not legal. And at one point in time, this was an investigation that was done out of our Houston and Miami offices. At one point in time, we took delivery through an undercover investigation of 40 tons of black coral.
40 tons?
40 tons. That was just one shipment in the course of this investigation. And it was called Operation Black Gold because this black coral is so valuable. Another example of coral, this is some red coral. The red coral tends to be protected at a higher level under CITES.
And what is CITES?
CITES is the Convention on the International Trade of Endangered Species, and it's an international treaty that I think 214 countries across the world have signed, including the U.S. It is similar to the Endangered Species Act here in the U.S., where we categorize plants and wildlife according to their level of threat, endangered status, as Appendix 1, 2, or 3, and Appendix 1 is the most protected. Appendix 3 is the least protected. You can import, export, buy, and sell if you have the right paperwork.
So we're talking about wildlife trafficking, and this is it a big deal here in the Pacific Northwest?
It is. It's a big deal everywhere in the United States, and the Pacific Northwest is no exception. Some of these things you might recognize as species that are native to the United States. This walrus, this is a walrus tusk and skull, and there are strict regulations on the harvest of walrus. It's still possible, but it's not lawful to sell. In order to sell these products legally, the walrus needs to be lawfully taken and worked into a native Alaskan handicraft. A raw walrus tusk, we call this raw when it's unworked, that's not been made into a native Alaskan handicraft, so it's not legal to buy and sell in this state, in this condition, I should say. This is sperm whale. These items are made out of sperm whale teeth. Sperm whales are native to the United States, and this is a raw sperm whale tooth, and this is one that's been scrimshawed. This kind of ink tattooing engraving is called scrimshaw. Sperm whales are endangered. You cannot buy and sell, import or export these pieces anymore. Sea turtles. It just so happens that this carved sea turtle shell came in from Palau, but sea turtles nest on every continent except the two North and South Pole. So there's a big market for sea turtle shell products. A lot of people have probably heard of tortoise shell jewelry. It comes from endangered sea turtles. This boot, this foot portion of the boot, is made out of sea turtle leather. And this is a product that was sold in Mexico that is sea turtle cream. It's like hand cream. It's got sea turtle oil in it. And sea turtles are endangered, so you can't buy, sell, import, export. You just can't do it anymore. There's also a market, by the way, for the sea turtle meat and eggs. And sea turtles, and this is a very small shell, sea turtles grow to be the size of snowmobiles. And so, you know, they live a long time. They're fascinating animals. And so we need to protect them, and we need to be very cognizant of where these things are coming from. Let's see, what else do we have?
What's this little creature right here?
This?
Yes.
This is a pangolin. The pangolin right now is the most heavily trafficked animal on the planet. Pangolins are endangered. They live in Asia and Africa. There's a market for the the scales, for the meat, and for the trophy items. This shoe is also made out of pangolin leather. And pangolins are the most heavily trafficked animal on the planet right now, and nobody knows about them. And they
so they're endangered as well?
They are endangered. And when their defense mechanism is when they're threatened, they curl up into a little ball. And these spines here, they are sharp. They're like, you could really cut yourself even just here.
Are.
When they curl up into a ball, they're protected from the normal predator, except man. They curl up into a little ball. We just go and we take a hook and we pick them up, and that's how they're really vulnerable to illegal collection because of their defense mechanism.
So, Sheila, with summer here, a lot of people start traveling.
Yes.
Often outside the United States. Are there any concerns that buyers should be aware of? Because, you know, if I go to another country, if it's legal to sell there, is it legal for me to bring back?
Not necessarily. That's a good question. Not necessarily. First of all, just because something is for sale on shelves in a foreign country doesn't mean it's legal. This sea turtle cream, this came in from Mexico. This is for sale on, like in pharmacy shelves all over Mexico. This is against Mexican law too. It's not just against U.S. law. This is against Mexican law as well. So just because you walk into a store and see it for sale doesn't mean it's legal in that country. And even if it is legal in that country, doesn't mean it's legal in the United States to bring it back into the United States. Let's see. This is another item that came in with a tourist. It's a tarantula that's been made into a paperweight. Brazil actually has some really good wildlife laws on the books. They don't allow the export of this stuff.
Okay.
What else? This is another item that came in with a tourist, and it's a belt. Here, maybe this way is better. It's a belt made out of an iguana.
That still has a head on it.
Right, and the spines. It's incredibly impractical. I don't even know how you would get this through your belt loops, but iguanas are protected by CITES, and this came in without a CITES permit, so we seized it. A big tourist item that you could really get yourself in trouble with is elephant ivory. This is a big elephant tusk, and so this is hard to hide in your luggage and smuggle into the United States that way. But we have a lot of smaller carved items. They're not out here on the table, but we have a lot of smaller carved statues, jewelry, beads, earrings made from ivory. Right now, the elephant poaching crisis is huge. Every 15 minutes, an elephant is illegally killed for its ivory. Don't be part of that. You can't tell if this ivory is old or new. You don't know where it's coming from. You don't know if it's from an elephant that was poached yesterday or from one that was, killed a long time ago. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter anymore. Elephants are being killed at a rate that's faster than they can reproduce. Same with rhinos. These are rhino horns. Rhino horns are the most valuable substance on the planet right now. And rhinos also are being killed at a rate that's faster than they can reproduce. Do the math. What will happen if that continues? We know what will happen. They'll go extinct. If we don't change the way we handle ivory and rhino horn and other endangered species, they'll all go extinct. The fastest way to drive a species to extinction is to commercialize it. What else would you like to talk about?
Well, down here we have a box of walrus.
Yeah, these are walrus tusks. I believe there are 17 tusks in here. All these walruses were illegally harvested, but walruses have 2 tusks each. 17 tusks means there's at least 9 dead walruses represented here by this trunk of ivory alone.
And unlike deer, walrus don't lose their
Right.
tusk.
Right, they don't shed their tusks. Neither do rhinos shed their horns or elephants shed their tusks. They're extracted. These animals are shot. The horns or antlers, horns or tusks are chopped off, sometimes, most of the time, while the animal is still alive. And this is brutal. The poachers don't care about the elephants or the rhinos or the walruses. They don't care. They're in it for the money. Rhino horn is the most valuable substance on the planet. Elephant ivory is also worth a great deal of money. The research that I've done recently is $1,500 to $1,800 a pound. This tusk here probably weighs 60 pounds. This is a bit more valuable because it's a matched set. We have a second one. And that's would drive the value of this to up to about maybe $2,000, $2,200 a pound. Think of that, 60 pounds times 2. Rhino horn is, these are worth about $1,500 a tusk.
The walrus.
The walrus. And that, of course, depends on the weight and the condition. Rhino horn, I said, was the most valuable substance on Earth. The research that I've done recently, about $80,000 to $100,000 a pound. This is a little bit more than 7 pounds. This is just shy of $1 million.
And what's special about rhino horn? Why do people want it?
There's really nothing special about rhino horn except to the rhino. Some people believe that it can cure cancer and hangovers. Can you imagine that there are people who are supporting the killing of this wonderful rhino to cure a hangover?
So what is a rhino horn made of?
It's made of keratin. Keratin is hair and fingernails. That's all. It's just very densely packed. And if you look here at the base, you can see these little fibers. That's just the keratin fibers pulling away a little bit.
Oh, there we go. Sheila, one thing you mentioned about the rhino horn, and we can maybe look at this jaguar coat as an example. Sometimes you said people will act like it's old and believe that makes it easier to bring in. This jaguar coat says it was from the retailer who was selling this says it was from the 1960s. So can you believe that, and does that make it legal?
So first of all, this person is trying to sell you something that's worth a great deal of money. Why would you believe them? So they said it's from the 1960s. There's no scientific way that I'm aware of that could verify that. There might be permits. There aren't in this case, of course. So number one, you shouldn't believe it if someone is trying to sell it to you. Number two, it doesn't matter if this is from the 1960s. Jaguars are still endangered, and so you can't buy, sell, kill, import, or export. And just so that everyone sees this, this is one jaguar coat, but part of my job is not just to identify what this is. All spotted cats, beware all spotted cats, by the way. So I also need to determine how many animals, how many jaguars were killed to make this coat. So the hair on the spine of cats grows differently than the rest of the fur. So that's what I look for. So here's the spine. So that's 1. Oops. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there are a minimum of 5 jaguars that were killed to make this coat. The number is probably higher because these coats are sewn and pieced together from many different animals to get the most pleasing pattern. So it's a minimum of 5. The actual number is probably much higher.
Wow.
This is ocelot. Same thing. You know, take a look. How many spines do you see? Remember too that ocelots are much smaller cats than jaguars. And so to make a full-length coat, probably double the number of spines that you see here.
So Sheila, as we wrap up, what is the takeaway for people who might be out traveling this summer, what advice do you have for them when they walk into a curio shop and see something that's of interest?
Buyer beware. Buyer beware. Number one, most people, if they knew the brutality behind some of this stuff, wouldn't want to be part of it to begin with. So if you're concerned about it and you don't know the origin, don't buy it. If you want a souvenir, take a selfie, right? I mean, it's to the point where, you know, we can either have wildlife trafficking or we can have wildlife, especially when it comes to endangered species. So buyer beware.
Thank you, Sheila. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Facebook Live.